They were bringing the last guy who was responsible for it, the Klansman, to trial 40 years after the fact. He was 80 years old. They brought him into court in a wheelchair with an oxygen tube up his nose and convicted him. And I wrote the song that night and put it to music, by the next morning, and the following Tuesday he was convicted. So this was written not before he was convicted. And it's called, there's a whole backstory that I didn't know at the time. And these are the pictures of the three civil rights workers who were slain. And it's called Mafia Meets Mississippi Burning. And I'm just going to read sections of this to you so you can get an idea of what happened. As she told Rapp courtroom of the relationship between her mafia boyfriend, Gregory the Grim Reaper Scarpa, and former FBI supervisor, Lindsay Del Vecchio, Mob Law Linda Shuro confirmed the long-winded story of Scarpa's secret work for the FBI during the 1960s. She said she was still a teen when her new boyfriend explained to her that he did work for the government. Then took her to Neshoba County, Mississippi in 1964 on a mission from FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover to find where the three slain civil rights workers were hiding. She said they arrived at a hotel crawling with clean-cut men in suits, FBI agents. Minutes after checking in, one of the agents knocked on the door and handed Scarpa a gun. He changed his clothes. Hours later, Scarpa returned and an agent knocked, gave the mobster an inch-thick wad of cash, took the gun and left. The mobster later told her he had kidnapped the local Klansman who was believed to have known the location of the bodies. Quote, "He put a gun in the guy's mouth," Shuro said. He threatened the guy. He told him where the bodies were. In 1966, she said he returned to Mississippi to help identify an arsonist. And she said that Scarpa beat a Klansman until he confessed. Now, that, it's probably for the good, but that really doesn't sound like due process to me. I guess unless you're in the FBI. The ironic thing is that this was in 1964, and they paid a mobster $10,000 to go down there and stick a gun in a guy's mouth. The United States Congress, after several failed attempts, only passed a law outlawing lynching in 1978. So, they say that God works in mysterious ways, but I don't think he has anything with the United States government, to be honest with you. Anyway, I wrote this poem, and it was signed by the National Voting Rights Museum, put their stamp on it, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission also put their stamp on it, and their seal. And it was also signed by a little-known first-term senator at the time named Barack Obama. This was back in 2007, I believe, and long before he became president. But the song is called "A Long Time Coming," and it goes like this. Been 40 years coming down since that fateful day when the three men disappeared down Mississippi way. Yeah, they were lynched and killed like the slaughter of the land. Their bodies were dug beneath the earthen dam. 7 were convicted in violation of suit. want to see them, the signed copies from that song. And I will do that when I leave the stage, and I'd like to take a look at it. This is called Love Poem. It's, I worked a long time on that title, and that's what I came up with. As beacons of hope and light fade into oncoming fog, rapidly becoming landmark, milestone markers, dead-end alleys, and scenic bypasses on the road to higher consciousness and enlightenment. And this, the final stretch of man's existential journey, the point surfaces. A piece of the heart given without condition or form. It cannot and should not be required to conform to any particular syntax of sound, confined to the restraints of the status quo of poetic expectation. Written word expresses its heart, just as all snowflakes and fingerprints are different and unique. Every heart is different, and every heart that breaks is different as well. None ever breaking along the same lines, the same pattern, never following a predestined path. It always breaks along its own lines, its own path, cracking at its weakest and most vulnerable points, unharnessed from any outside factors of preconceived expectation of feeling or emotion. The rhythmic beat to which we have grown accustomed to in verse has become the proverbial box to which many proudly claim to work outside of, and while doing so, become free of the 90-degree quad of imprisonment, thinking outside of the box. The imagination and passion of love is still fenced in by the overworld, the plantation of thought. True freedom comes only when the conscious mind steps further, deciding neither to work inside or outside of the box, but to throw the box altogether away, leaving the heart and all its most vulnerable and naked emotions free to explore, expose, and express itself through the waiting world of human response and reflection. Only now, with its newfound freedom, being capable of touching the deepest nerve and vulnerability of its every awakened recipient. It is then, and only then, will my hand reach for the handle of the paint-covered brush, patiently lying on its palette with its tapestry of carefully blended colors, to paint the first brushstroke of a masterpiece, the first words of love and life that I want so passionately to paint on the inside walls of her beating heart, the chosen object of my passion, love, and desire. Thank you very much.
Amen.